Hey everybody, in this video, we are going to explore whether or not you should hire a guitar teacher. Whether you're starting out for the first time or picking out a guitar at a local store, or even finding a guitar in your closet that you promised yourself years ago that you would actually learn how to play, or maybe even simply just you hit a plateau. Deciding on whether or not you should get a guitar teacher is kind of a really big deal. Just like pro athletes, that as they progress, as they get better, they need to understand that as they get better, they need more specialized training. So making a decision is just like an athlete in that way. At various levels where you're going to have to make that decision as to what you really think that you should do. But before we do that, you have to ask yourself a question. What is my ultimate goal? I mean, you're going to give your hard-earned cash to someone and you're going to want results. So there's a famous quote. It says, begin with the end in mind. Define the specific goals that you have. Are you trying to just be a really good guitar player for social gatherings? You want to play Happy Birthday, or you want to just be able to gather around the campfire and play some songs? Maybe even you are trying out for your church band or something like that. So I would take the time to literally write down your goals. Hiring a guitar teacher is going to give you the best results. It's going to first give you a strong foundation, starting with solid understanding of the instrument and the fundamentals. And not only that, but making it fun in the process. The best teachers, they make things super interesting and make them fun at the same time. I have a friend who studies ancient Middle Eastern maps, and she is so overwhelmed with excitement about it. I can't just help getting excited about listening to her talk about maps. Maps are totally boring to me, but it's the way that she taught it to me that just really captivated me. Now, it may sound a little biased by encouraging you to get a guitar teacher because I am one, but let me just tell you straight up, there are some real issues with being self-taught. Getting lessons would have helped me years ago tremendously. It would have prevented bad habits, preventing bad habits like these little things that I do when I'm playing. Specifically, my pinky is stuck on the pick guard as I'm playing, and it's just a really bad habit. And what I should be doing is using all of my fingers, but the way that I taught myself, I just created this bad habit. Now, I know to teach my students not to do that, but I've been doing it for 20 some odd years. I just can't help but do it. So the teacher will actually help you make the connection of doing two things at the same time and also keep you on track with how you should be doing it by not allowing you to get into these weird little things that you do to play guitar. The next is your individual progress. It will become faster as a beginner or at whatever level. They'll be able to make an assessment as to what you really need, and when they make that assessment, they will plan that lesson accordingly for all the things that you're going to need to learn. A teacher can also help you get out of a plateau. Some of us have been playing for a long time, and we've just kind of learned a couple of chords or learned a couple of progressions or a couple songs. So sometimes it's really hard to get out of it. A teacher's lessons plan will be customizable and tailored not only to your specific goals, but also to the things that you really need. And when you're doing that, one thing you're going to need is feedback. Feedback from your teacher will help you tremendously because you'll be able to play something and then they'll be able to respond immediately. And they'll also give you accountability. They can help you set up goals, but they'll hold you accountable to those goals. When they hold you accountable, they're going to set up what we call achievable goals, and not goals that are things that are just really, really outside of your ability or skill level, because they'll make an honest assessment as to where you are. For some of us, we try to go really, really fast, and when we go really fast, we miss things. So another thing that you need to be concerned with or consider with as a benefit of having a teacher is that you might be able to teach one day. I mean, maybe not to the extent of your teacher, but you'll be able to do something specifically like to be able to help someone along who's learning because of the things that you've learned and those good foundational things that you have picked up from your teacher. And the way that your teacher teaches is probably the way that you will teach someone else. Now, there are some cons of hiring someone to be your teacher. One, obviously, is the cost. Lessons are not cheap. Depending on your area and depending on how much you have disposable income to be able to pay for lessons, the person who you're hiring really should charge you, obviously, because of the value that they're bringing. And the cost of their expertise really does come into play with what they charge. You really do get what you pay for. But with the cost also comes the benefit of knowing that, number one, you are paying them for a service, and they're also going to have to return that service with something that's going to add value. But one thing that's going to cost you not only money is humility. It's kind of hard to ask for help, especially when you're trying to do something. And playing guitar is one of those vulnerable things. You might feel like a little intimidated. And having a guitar teacher watch you play something that they want you to learn or have already learned could make you feel a little uncomfortable. You might even feel like they're judging you in some way. But if you found the right teacher, and finding the right teacher can be difficult, but if you did find the right teacher, they won't make you feel that way at all. I have heard stories specifically about teachers, how some of them are like, they don't have a lesson plan, or they talk the entire time, or they're like, look what I can do on the guitar, and at the end of their lesson, you're like, did I really pay for this? I mean, what's really going on with all this? Just because a great player says that they can teach doesn't mean that they actually can teach. Actually, some players are horrible teachers because they're not cut out to teach. You know, back in the day in the 70s, when people would hire someone to be their personal trainer, they would strictly judge whether or not that person was a good trainer on the fact that they were physically fit. I mean, nowadays, that's crazy just to hire someone just because they look good. I mean, there's so many more things to consider in order to be able to increase your fitness level, and things that you should consider as well as hiring a guitar teacher. The last thing that would probably be a hindrance for you wanting to get a teacher is just schedule conflicts. Some teachers are really good and there's a waiting list, or your availability, or you've got kids and you go into bed and you don't have a limited amount of time because you work a full-time job and you're trying to do all these things. Scheduling can be difficult. But with all those cons, hiring someone can become just a really good way to kind of put your mind at ease so you can actually learn at a pace that's tailored to you. There are issues that you have to overcome, like scheduling and taking a risk with someone, and also the financial cost. But remember, you do get what you pay for. But as a teacher, and I can just speak to you from my own experience, I would much rather teach a student who is so excited about learning. I would even consider creating a payment plan or reducing my rate just because they're so hungry to learn. I mean, as a teacher, and for a student to really grab a hold of those principles and really come back on the next lesson having learned them and mastered them, I mean, there's nothing better for a teacher to have that kind of relationship with a student. So in conclusion, ultimately, you do have to begin with your end. What is it that you really want to do? But if you can, I would definitely go for a teacher and find someone to hold you accountable. If you're looking to just kind of get started, there are so many different resources, and we're going to point to a couple of resources down in the comments below, as well as I'm going to invite you guys to add some other teachers or anybody that you've come across. I just want to give them a shout out. That would be great. I'm sure that they would love that. And I don't have any problem referring you to anyone else, but if you're interested in learning some more about guitar and some of these things about a guitar lifestyle, just click on some of my other videos, and I'll see you soon.